My name's Don Sarka, and I've been doing real estate for about 25 years. I started off with a 3-family property in Newark, New Jersey, and I bought it no money down and only because I had no money. So I brought in a partner and I did all the work myself again in this building. And it was a ton of work. Well, all the maintenance, dealing with tenants, renting out the apartments, getting the leases, making sure they work out right, contacting the attorneys for the evictions and all that stuff like that. And after doing this for probably about 10, 12 years, I was like, I've got to do something different here because I'm getting tired of doing all the work myself. So I got involved with some training. I was able to luckily bring my son along with me, who had quite an interest with me up at the property helping. So we got quite a bit of training. And after that, we actually did another 1031 exchange and we sold the property that I did all the work on. We bought a property down south, and now we have a property that's manager managed. And that was really nice. Even though I had quite a bit of experience in multifamily real estate, we bought a property that had a lot of new challenges, and we were also doing our first syndication. We talked as a group and said, hey, would it make sense to bring in a consultant to give us some ideas and help us out? And I have to say, I was a little reluctant at first because I've had quite a few years of experience doing this. So Van was able to actually help us in quite many different ways, where he was able to bring in different knowledge that he had and help us. And I think the other part of it is this time we're working with a team of a few guys. Before it was a much smaller group. And when you're working with a larger group of people, even though everybody has a task and they're all doing their work, it still can be more challenging to come up with a final idea, and this is how we're going to do something. So, you're not able to see your numbers as well, and Van was able to help us a lot with that too. He was able to bring in some, I would say, with some of the CapEx ideas, there was one or two items that we were kind of set on. And I think Van helped us say, hey, I don't think you really need to do that. Maybe if you do something a little bit slightly different, you can save that X amount of dollars and put it towards unit turns or something like that to increase the value of the property by increasing the NOI. There was one project we were talking about. I think it was over $10,000, and we weren't all on the same page to get that done, but there was a lot of consensus to do that project. And I think Van was able to show us different ways that we could save $10,000, and the property wouldn't really miss that work. But I have to say that the detail that Van brings when we have our meetings is superb. I mean, like I say, the coach that we had at the time, we were new, and we were in the process of doing a 1031 exchange, and we were trying to find this other property, and all that stuff is challenging. So our other coach, he was pretty good, but Van actually keeps, one of the things I like about Van is he likes to keep the glass half full all the time. So all the problems, whatever you're dealing with, he really keeps a positive outlook on it. And, when you're working a full-time job and you've got other properties that you're running after, you run out of energy sometimes, and you get tired and you get, oh my gosh. And he's helpful where, all right, look, we've got this on the run. All you got to do is this, this, and this. And you're going to get where you want to go with this property. When we first met up with Van, I was probably the one most against spending money on a consultant to help us with our business, especially since I've been in the construction business for about 40 years. So I've been around the block a few times. I've dealt with all different kinds of construction, mostly plumbing and pipe fitting, but I've done everything. And I've done everything with my hands in the 12 unit I told you about, and the 3 family, where I couldn't afford to pay for help. So I had a pretty good handle on these things. But when we started talking about different projects around the complex, that's where Van threw some ideas out. And I was like, wow, you know what? He's saving us money. Even though we're paying for this, he's helping increase our NOI. And I watched Van's video on the internet. It was really good. But again, I didn't think that we really needed any help. And you know what? I've learned that no matter how much you know, you could always learn more. Many ideas like that were able to help. Again, I love the idea that he was able to help us save money on our CapEx projects, some of the things that we kind of felt we needed. And after we looked at it in detail, it really didn't make as much sense to do it that way, put a little twist on it. And the twist maybe cost 10% of the total amount that we were going to pay, but the end result is the same. So I think working with Van on this project is going to help myself and our team going forward, because as I mentioned, it's been quite challenging, and working through all these different hurdles, we've learned a lot and better ways to address these hurdles. And I think it's going to help us honestly moving forward on the next property. I would highly recommend someone that I know who wanted to get into real estate and wanted some advice, wanted a consultant, I don't think you actually call him a mentor. I don't know if you use that word, but it's a great, I would say it's mentoring, right? In a way, right? I would highly recommend Van. Yes, absolutely.